So there's a surprisingly fine line between loving your child and pretending you're dating him, and boy mums have sprinted across it. Not a mum of boys, boy mums. There is a shockingly huge difference. One is a well-adjusted, normal parent who happens to have boys. The other, I believe, is borderline fantasizing about dating their own kid. These boy mums validate Sigmund Freud in a way that no one else could. If you have somehow managed to avoid this corner of the internet, I envy you. But the boy mum corner of the internet, the boy mum corner of TikTok is basically mums being like, I was his first kiss and forced to be your mother, born to be your lover. No, really. I wish I were making this up. Unfortunately, that's not the world that we live in. Or crying about the day that some evil temptress will steal her man away. The man being her son, not her husband. And by evil temptress, of course, they are talking about the completely healthy, hypothetical future girlfriend or relationship who probably hasn't even been born yet, mind you. As all things do, it seemed to start off pretty harmless. It was just, you know, a corner of mums on the internet talking about the chaos of raising boys. But somewhere along the line, it turned into some like weird pipeline of emotional enmeshment and gendered favoritism and like emotional incest, which I don't think we can say on YouTube, so I'm going to say incense from now on. And now where we've arrived is you've got mothers doing things like this with their sons at football games, lip syncing breakup songs to their toddlers and fantasizing about hating, stalking, and even shooting their sons' hypothetical future girlfriends. Are we okay? It's weird, it's unhinged, and it's being posted online as if this is like completely normal and expected behavior. And to be clear, this isn't just about like affectionate parenting. This is about mothers who have based their entire personality on the fact that they happen to accidentally give birth to a boy, and they want you and everyone else to know about it. You could honestly write an entire psychology thesis on the emotional incense happening on TikTok right now. Rest in peace, Sigmund Freud, you would have loved this app. So what even is a boy mum? Boy mums, again, not to be confused with mothers who happen to have boys, because this video is not a video bashing all mums that have sons. By now, I would hope you would be able to see the difference between like a normal mother-son relationship and what I am showing in this video. There is a huge expansive difference between being a mother of sons and being a boy mum your entire personality and teetering off into like weird romantic spaces with it. A mum of boys is a parent. A boy mum is its own brand and possibly like a mental disorder of some sort. You've got these weird staged photo shoots that look like engagement announcements. The kind of photos you'd expect to see under the caption, "He proposed," not like "my kid plays football." I don't know this woman. I don't know any of these women, to be clear. I don't know their lives. I can just comment on what I'm seeing, and what I'm seeing is not good. This, to me, looks like this woman wanted to date a footballer in high school and take these kinds of photos with her boyfriend and never got to, so now she's just doing it with her son, living out that fantasy with her child. My opinion. All of this is my opinion only. There's just no way to look at this that isn't, oh my god. All I'm gonna say is on her TikTok profile there is evidence to suggest that this woman lives in Alabama. So, you know, there's life imitates art. And this one where it looks like a mum is literally climbing her teenage son on the field after a win. Ma'am, please, there are so many other ways to say, good job, son. It looks like she was trying to have like her Chad Michael Murray Cinderella story moment, and listen, it would be such a slay if it wasn't like ostensibly someone that she gave birth to. In fact, I went and found a video of like a normal interaction with a mother and son after a football game. It really is actually that easy to not emotionally date your child. It's super easy to do. And if that wasn't bad enough, go read the comments under these videos. It's a chorus of women saying things like, he's my soulmate and no other woman will love him like I do. I'm raising my dream man. Seriously. I don't even know where to lead from there, so I'm going to take a break and talk about the sponsor of this video, Free Cash. Since we're going to be spending the next half an hour talking about how mums use their sons as emotional ATMs, let's switch gears to an actual functional way to make money. Free Cash is a rewards platform that lets you earn real money just by trying out apps and games and offers. And there's no crypto scams, there's no weird surveys, it's just real brands that are looking for users. I just use it on my phone during my downtime when I have spare time, and it honestly is a little bit addictive in a good way. Once you sign up, you'll see a bunch of offers. I would personally recommend starting with dice streams because it pays out fast. You just follow the instructions, you hit the level goals, and once you're done, the money will land in your Free Cash wallet, and then you can cash that out however you like. Is this gonna make you a billionaire? No. But if you've got some downtime, if you play games anyway, you might as well make money off it. It's 100% 100% free. They've got daily giveaways and cashback offers, but the games are definitely like the easiest way to get started making money on this. Puts a bit of extra coin in your wallet. In this economy, we need it, to be honest. So if you'd like to try it, make sure you use the link in my description so that they know I sent you, or use the QR code that's been floating around here. I genuinely use free cash. It is a great alternative to doom scrolling. I'll tell you that for free. It's super easy. It's free. It's something you can do in your spare time, and it puts a bit of money back in your pocket. So why not? And thanks again to Free Cash for sponsoring this video. And half the time, these mothers also have daughters who they treat like background characters in favor of their sons. For what reason? Probably just plain old home brand misogyny. This one really got me. This video pissed me off.
I never thought that I would be that toxic boy mom. I love my 4 kids equally, but that last little boy just hits different. He hits his sisters, he punches them. I'm like, maybe he's having a hard day. So when I think about my daughters getting married, I get excited, right? Think about their dresses, planning their weddings. When I think about my son's wedding, I want to cry.
A mum proudly explaining that her son hits his sisters, but that's okay because it's her little baby boy and he was just having a hard day because that's her little prince. That's potentially raising like a future domestic abuser, statistically. It's not motherly devotion. You're actually failing your son as a mother by doing this. You're not preparing them for how to act in the world. If you've got siblings, you know that you'll get in trouble for hitting your siblings. You should get in trouble for that. That's how we learn not to do that. If there's mothers going around just giving their sons a pass for beating people up because that's her precious little angel baby, you are setting your son up for failure. And not just failing your son for refusing to actually raise him properly, but doubly failing your daughters for refusing to protect them, putting their safety aside and their well-being and happiness aside in favor of the son because he's had a bad day. What did he do? Shit his pants? He'll be fine. How young is this kid? How bad could his day be? And forget that this is already like as damaging as it is. She's also monetizing it. And she appears to make a lot of content about how her son is the favorite. So not only are these mothers emotionally scarring their daughters, you're doing it for profit and for internet clout. These daughters and their future therapists will have a field day unpacking this. The layers of like exploiting your children for content and creating gendered trauma for internet clout is just chef's kiss. What are we doing? Peak influencer parenting. I really could make like a whole other video on why family channels and putting your kids all over the internet, and especially this kind of stuff, posting about how one kid is clearly the favorite. In my opinion, all of that should be illegal because your kids cannot consent to this properly. Imagine if your most like embarrassing moments as a child were put on the internet for the entire world to see, for to see. Oh god, man. But this is just the tip of the iceberg, of that very large iceberg. And kids notice this stuff. Like your daughters will absolutely notice when you favor your sons for no reason other than they're boys. And then those boys grow up to think the sun shines out of their ass for no reason because everyone around them, starting with their mother, told them it does just because they exist. Then they tend to grow up to be the worst brand of man-child that the world has to offer. Hinging your entire identity on the fact that you accidentally gave birth to a boy doesn't make you special. It does, however, expose how deep internalized misogyny can run even in women. Some women are so used to centering men in absolutely everything, they start doing it before their children can even walk. And honestly, the wildest part is finding video examples for this when I was researching was the easiest and quickest research I've ever done for a video. I didn't have to dig at all to find any of this. And while we're on the topic, why are we posting borderline thirst traps of our sons, lady? What are we doing? This is weird. All of this is weird, but this is weird. If roles were reversed, if a father posted this about his daughter, we would be calling the police, rightfully so. In fact, I think someone definitely should have called the police for this one. Look, what are we even insinuating here? Well, I can't. So the language of boy mums is another frontier that we're going to cover today, because one of the most disturbing things about boy mums is the language they use. They don't talk like parents, they talk like girlfriends. You see captions like "my first love" and "I was his first kiss." "No woman will ever love him like I do." And fun little numbers like "my biggest fear is my son moving out and marrying someone who isn't me." What? I beg your finest locally sourced farm to table pardon. What is going on? Imagine your biggest fear being your son moving out and living a normal adult life. He's not breaking up with you, Susan. He's just paying rent. These captions sometimes sound like rejected Taylor Swift lyrics, to be honest. And they're not just weird, they are like so romantically charged. That is what's weird about them. These boy mums literally use the language of relationships to describe their sons. When you're a boy mum and you know one day some girl will come and snatch up the work of art that you raised to be the perfect man, and then she won't let you come over without calling first. This one kills me because she already knows that she's going to be a nightmare mother-in-law. She is preemptively aware that her son and his future partner will have to set boundaries to keep her out of their house. Also, the work of art that you raised to be the perfect man, girl, you didn't sculpt him out of marble. You gave him chicken nuggets and screen time. Relax. The struggles of being an overbearing boy mum, worrying that one day some girl will come along and steal your man. You're worried that someone is going to steal your man? And you're not talking about your husband. You're talking about the man who still needs you to cut his crust off his sandwiches because he's a child? Your child? Your son. Your son who is your child because you gave birth to him and he's your kid and not your boyfriend, actually. A lot of these TikToks could honestly just be titled POV, you want to be in a relationship with your son. And it does really feel like a lot of these women are using their kids as like emotional stand-ins for their husbands or their partners. These boy mums seem like they're getting validation from their sons in a way that they should be getting from their partner, their adult partner. I always thought I wanted a girl, but now I have two boys obsessing over me simultaneously while remaining queen of the house. This one's a classic because is it jealousy of like an imaginary daughter? Or does she miss being the main character so badly that she's making her toddlers her love interests? When you're obsessed with your son and already worried about having to share him like this, when you realize you're gonna have to share the love of your life, my baby boy, with another female one day. Oh. And on that note, I would like to acknowledge the codependent relationship I have with my patrons. These guys are the light of my life. They're my special little boys. They're my world. No woman will ever be good enough for them. And they're also the reason I can make these videos, truly. If I didn't have my patrons, I would not be here currently. So if you'd like to support the channel and become a patron, there's tiers for as low as $3 a month. Have you got $3? Swing it my way. There's also bonus content over there. I'm making little like bite-sized commentary videos about topics I find interesting. I'm currently editing a couple about revenge procrastination, which we are all guilty of, and like the difference between empathy and logic and how they're actually not that different at all, and you need empathy to have logic. Things I find so interesting. Also, if you've been here since the lesbian thirst traps videos, there's one of those going up over there full length as a treat. And depending on the tier that you choose, you can get up to 20% off my clothing brand Riff Supply Co, which is where you can get this t-shirt that we've just put up there, which I find hilarious, and a bunch of other really cool stuff that you might like. So if you want to support the channel and get a cool tee, sign up for Patreon, get a bit of a discount first, and treat yourself. We're coming up to Christmas. Head to patreon.com/brianneworth or riffsupplyco.com if you need a tea. And thanks again to all of my patrons. All of this is just like the prequel to therapy for the sons of these types of mothers and whoever their future partners end up being as well. Because let's be honest, this doesn't read as like healthy motherhood, it reads as Game of Thrones with school pickup. Look at this kid's face. Actually, I don't think you can because I am blurring all of these poor kids' faces because this is, and by the way, that's what their parents should be doing, is respecting their privacy. But to preserve whatever privacy this kid has left, just know he does not look happy. So what we're really seeing with these types of videos is emotional enmeshment, when parents rely on their kids for emotional fulfillment instead of like actual adult relationships. Obviously the kids are very ill-equipped to provide that for their parents, because your child should not be your emotional support partner. That's not bonding, that's like blurring the boundaries. And look, it's really not that hard to avoid emotional incense. Most people manage to do that every single day without any effort at all. And one of the strangest subgenres of boy mum content on the internet is like the future daughter-in-law cooking competition that a lot of these boy mums have entered into in their fantasies and have now recorded and role played with their kids. Mums post video like making sure my son can cook so he's not impressed by your daughter's stuff as lasagna, with this unnecessarily evil looking glare at the end like you just deleted her favorite Pinterest board. The sexism is baked right in, pun intended. It's this weird mix of like maternal pride and internalized misogyny, or maternalized patriarchy rather, as if the goal of having and raising a son is to then palm him off to some other woman who will then have to pick up the apron and do his basic life tasks for him. These TikToks obviously aren't about like teaching life skills because they're things that every single person on the planet needs to know. They're about testing hypothetical wives that don't exist yet and insinuating nothing but the best is good enough for their little boy. Like, relax, Sharon, he's not Gordon Ramsay. He is an 8-year-old who thinks salt is too spicy. You should be teaching him to cook because it's an extremely basic life skill that everyone should know. Then there's the like protective cooking version. Teaching my son to cook so he doesn't depend on your toxic daughter. Sorry, it's not funny, but the jealousy just like leaps off the screen. The "your toxic daughter" part is especially wild because who are you even beefing with right now? Who are you beefing with, ma'am? Is it an imaginary 8-year-old? Some hypothetical future woman that your son might date and love? You're beefing with them while he's still in primary school, is that correct? It's extremely unhinged behavior. Oh, this is so weird. Meanwhile, normal, healthy, well-adjusted mums are out there making things like this. Teaching my son to cook so he can be a functional adult and not think cooking is a woman's job. Yeah. Just making sure that he can cook so he can feed himself. Or perhaps feed his wife and his family. Do you see the difference? Like, one is raising a man who's capable of looking after himself. The other is raising a mama's boy with an emotional support casserole and like very blurred parental boundaries. Another one that tends to make people like collectively side eye is when these boy mums say watching their son grow up is the slowest breakup ever. Oh, I don't like that one. And look, I'm gonna give some of these boy mums the benefit of the doubt and say, despite all evidence to the contrary, that something like this is just meant to be heartfelt and it's just that simple. But it still does reveal something uncomfortable accidentally, because parenting isn't supposed to feel like a breakup. It's not like a romantic relationship breakdown. Parenting ultimately is about independence and raising your kid to be independent enough to live their own life. Your child is meant to grow up and not need you as much if you're a good parent. That's called success, not heartbreak. And if it does feel like a form of heartbreak, it should not be feeling like a romantic relationship breakup. If your mum posts things like this publicly on the internet, she is probably 2 TikToks away from third wheeling to your honeymoon. Now, to be fair, there is a very like sweet interpretation of this. Parents missing their kids as they get older, that kind of thing. But when it is paired with like everything else in the boy mum universe, it starts to read a little emotionally incestuous. There is a very, 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 very big difference between being sentimental and feeling sentimental about your son growing up and comparing it to a romantic separation. Your son is a child, not your boyfriend. You are not being broken up with. You are just ideally doing your job right so that they can leave and be independent human beings. And you should be happy about that to some degree, even if you miss your kids. And you can actually see the evolution of like toxic boy mum behavior evolving over time. Like a Pokemon evolution, but completely emotionally unstable. Stage 1 is simple and innocent enough. It's the "my baby is my world" stage. Cute at first, harmless even. Pretty much every new mum starts here. He's my whole heart, it's adorable. Stage 2 is no woman is good enough for my baby. Why are we even thinking about that? They're a baby. This is where the vibe shifts from like protective mum to territorial ex. And again, usually their kids are still children. So once again, why are we thinking about this? Suddenly every future girlfriend, who I need to repeat, the future girlfriend does not exist because your son is still a child. Suddenly every future girlfriend is a threat, and anyone who so much as shares a juice box with him is corrupting his innocence, the innocence of her sweet little precious baby boy. In fact, in finding examples for this video, I came across this audio and I dead ass could not tell if this was a boy mum or an ex-girlfriend, because they both talk exactly the same. Exactly the same.
Wherever you go from here, you have to promise to take care of that little boy for me. Make sure he never forgets where he came from. And he never doubts that he is loved.
And the audio is used by both boy mums and ex-girlfriends. So I read the comments and even that didn't help me definitively find out, is this an ex-girlfriend or a mum? The only thing that gave me a clue is that she looks quite young. There were so many videos where there was so much crossover and I couldn't tell, is this an ex-girlfriend or is this like a mum lamenting over her son? And stage 3, the final form of boy mum, is the white dress at your wedding mother-in-law. You know the type, we've all heard of them. The mother-in-law that tries to outshine the bride at her son's wedding, or plans a family honeymoon because she couldn't bear to be left out. These are real things that happened. There are countless stories on like Reddit, for example, of mother-in-laws inserting themselves into their son's honeymoons or weddings. Like, ma'am, that is not what +1 means. You're not the +1 as the bride. And yes, like most things, it appears to have its roots in psychology. When mothers base their entire identities on their son, they need to stay central in their lives or they lose their own identity. This is true not even for boy mums, this is true for everything. If you place your entire identity into something or someone else, that thing or person needs to stay central to your life or you lose yourself, you lose your identity. So boy mums will do that even if it means sabotaging every romantic relationship their sons get into. It's like emotional job security, really. But again, you shouldn't feel threatened by your son's partner because you are not in competition for that role. Ma'am, lady, you're not auditioning for the same role. You shouldn't be threatened by that. In fact, you should be grateful that someone is willing to love your son because that's an experience that you should want for your son. Because when boy mums treat their sons like an emotional husband stand-in, it wrecks his autonomy, it screws up his ability to connect with women, and it almost guarantees that any girlfriend he gets is going to be auditioning for the role of replacement mum. Or worse, will be in constant competition with his mother. And then there you get to the extremes, and there's TikToks of boy mums fantasizing about shooting their son's future girlfriends. Shooting their son's future girlfriends for, let me check my notes, holding his hand. Mind you, the caption says her son is currently 2 years old. He is a 2-year-old, he is not your prom date. It's this like weird power fantasy where boy mums turn motherhood into this competition against, again, hypothetical girlfriends that don't actually exist. Like imagine bragging about the fact that your child is being trained to disappoint their future partner. Like congratulations, you were raising a man who won't be able to plan a holiday without crying because you've turned it into this eternal competition, and if your son dares to choose his partner's house for the holidays, God forbid, then that must mean he hates you and is not obsessed with you enough. What are we doing? What are we doing? But one of the darker sides of the boy mum culture is what happens to the daughters in these families. Because for every he's my whole world TikTok, there is a daughter in the background learning that she isn't. And you see this over and over and over in comment sections from women who were raised by these self-proclaimed boy mums. They talk about lifelong emotional damage, feeling like background characters in their own homes. The Avery Woods example is actually a pretty good case study. This like influencer, a mum who appears to be openly showing extreme favoritism towards her son.
My boy moms feel me on this, but my son has my heart and my soul. I obviously am obsessed with Stevie Lee. She is just the greatest little girl in the world. But my whole life, I always wanted to be a boy mom. And I remember when I found out I was pregnant with him, and I was just ecstatic because I was such a tomboy growing up. Anyways, the whole point of me making this video is I had to share his preschool photo with you, because when I tell you I opened up this email and I just hysterically cried. I forgot it was picture day, and I sent him to school in like a beach tank top. So his guns were showing, no big deal. But let me show you this year. I have no words. I am so obsessed with this child.
And happily broadcasting it online like it's cute and not just demoralizing for her daughter to grow up and watch, and just immortalizing her favoritism for her son. So these boy moms don't seem to care or realize that they're just teaching all of their kids that love is conditional and it's unequal and it's performative as hell. And there is no shortage of boy moms out there openly proclaiming that their son is their favorite despite also having daughters, or saying that they finally understand what true love is now that they've had their son, even though they already had daughters. The fact that they're proudly admitting this so publicly makes me so sad for how much worse the favoritism would be at home for those little girls. Like, boy mums, this is why your sons are growing up to be horrible men. This. And I'm not surprised that this appears to be the same boy mum who let her son hit her daughters because he's having a bad day.
Be popular. You're gonna be popular.
And then there's the outright hostile and borderline abusive content that's being made about daughters for committing the crime of being born female.
Get your funky ass in this motherfucking bath, bitch. Mommy, I can't get in. Girl, shut your funky ass up. You already the fuck out, so shut up.
Like, once again, you are role-playing and acting out publicly and fantasizing about verbally abusing your hypothetical daughter or real daughter because you gave birth to a gender that you didn't want. Being the daughter in a boy mum household must be like being an unpaid intern at like a tech startup. If you can't love your kids equally, or if you can't love your kids regardless of how they come out, don't have kids at all. It's really that simple. And just when you think it can't get any worse, you keep scrolling and there's another mum proudly commenting that she loves her son more than her 4 daughters. This is like watching a highlight reel of generational trauma, and again, this is one example. So where does all this come from? Because it's not just cringy TikToks. There are obviously some like real psychological roots behind this, and I will be the first to say I'm not a psychologist. Guilty as charged. I'm not diagnosing anyone in this video, I don't know. But a lot of this behavior seems to pretty obviously come from some kind of emotional projection. When a mum feels unloved or unseen or emotionally unfulfilled or rejected by her partner, her husband, oh my god, these bugs. That emotional need doesn't just disappear, it gets redirected usually, and often that lands squarely on the son, the next closest male relationship in her life. He becomes the emotional stand-in, the source of affection, validation, and purpose that she's missing from her adult relationship. It's kind of like emotional rebound dating, except the rebound is your son and he still believes believes in Santa. And this is really where it starts like veering into emotional incense territory. It's when a parent blurs the emotional boundaries between parent and partner. The son becomes a stand-in for a male adult partner. And a lot of these TikToks just like really harp on about how these boy mums love how much their sons love them, how obsessed with the mothers that these boys are, how attached that these boys are to their mothers, how this is somehow unique to boys, even though it's not. Because here's the thing, this isn't like a son and daughter thing. Kids are attached to their primary caregiver. Kids are obsessed with their primary caregiver. Kids want the attention of their main parent or both of their parents. Like that's a universally babies, toddlers, kids, they're all attached to the person that's keeping them alive. That is not a gender thing, that's just biology. But these boy mums, man, often hyped up on like a cocktail of internalized misogyny, unmet emotional needs from their partner, patriarchy, and a deep-seated need for validation from any male, apparently. They interpret this love from their sons as somehow more potent or more special and valuable than the love from their daughters, even though it is literally the exact same thing. It is the exact same thing. Basically, they're replacing a relationship dynamic that should exist between two adults, not between a mother and her son. Add in the patriarchy's obsession with the sons being the prize, and it becomes this like perfect storm. Boys are treated like golden tickets, not based on anything other than sexism. Sons are put on a pedestal like they're carrying the family legacy, they're the heir, even though it is literally the women and the daughters in the family that are quite literally creating and carrying on the family's genetic legacy, not the sons. And the sons are like the man of the house, even though again it's like the mother's running the house most of the time, like actually running the ins and outs of the household and the family. But here's the dark part, it doesn't just screw up the daughters, although it does, it screws up the sons as well. Because if your mum is treating you like your emotional support animal, you don't get to develop real boundaries in relationships. You grow up confusing like affection with responsibility or love with obligation. And if that son ever does like grow up and start setting his own boundaries, or God forbid falls in love with another woman, it registers to these boy mums as a betrayal and a breakup. As we've seen earlier in this video, that's when you get the crying TikToks about the slowest breakup ever and it feeling like a betrayal, and mums who just like can't let go. And some of these guys have to end up cutting off their mothers completely just to have a functioning romantic relationship in their lives, which is tragic because like none of this necessarily came from malice in the first place. It again probably came from unmet emotional needs that got like twisted into this weird codependency. But still, like maybe your child shouldn't be your emotional support boyfriend, you know? So I don't know how long this was going on for. I assume forever, but social media has definitely come and done what it does, which is supercharged the issue. Social media platforms have turned parenting into like a spectator sport, a constant stream of curated and performative lives, and that extends into parenthood. And the algorithm rewards the most extreme emotions generally, so instead of quietly bonding with their kids, mums are now filming their 4-year-old's first existential crisis for content. You know, that's why these family channels, they use their kids as like emotional clickbait, which is why I don't think they should exist. So the whole thing kind of becomes like this emotional theater, a public vulnerability as like a personal brand. And every time those videos go viral, it reinforces the exact attachment issues that these mums are unknowingly acting out. Like even to the point of, again, fantasizing about your son going to his partner's family's place for the holidays and trying to make them obsessed with you so you can avoid this future fear. What is even going on here? Why are we doing this? Boy mum TikTok really is just generational trauma rebranded as like relatable content. So at its core, this is really about emotional boundaries. We can just boil it all down to just emotional boundaries, please. About knowing where parenting ends and projection begins. Obviously, loving your son is not the problem. Loving your son might be the problem, but the problem is turning your sons into your identity and your whole emotional support system and self-worth and validation. Your kid deserves to be raised, not worshipped. Because if your entire sense of purpose lives inside a 5-year-old, that's not parenting, that's like emotional hostage taking. And based on how many views and comments and followers and positive engagement that these boy mum videos get, I do think we need to stop applauding these boy mums having really unhealthy attachments to their sons and codependency just because you've got like matching Christmas pajamas. I don't think that erases the problem. So anyway, you know, call your mum. Unless she's a boy mum, in which case maybe just swing her a text. Parenting at the end of the day is supposed to be about creating independent human beings, not lifelong stand-ins for your emotional attachment issues. Because the goal isn't to raise someone who will never leave you. The goal actually is to raise someone who will leave you and won't need to go to therapy for 5 years to figure out how. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Let me know what your thoughts are on all of this. Have you seen this? Have you seen this? Have you seen the boy mum content floating around? It is sobering. It's sobering. If you've made it this far in the video, give it a like, leave a comment. I'll be down there lurking in the comments as always. Eat your veggies, set some healthy emotional boundaries, and I'll see you in the next one.